Welcome to 2020, where people are so anti-racist, they ban anti-racist books. I couldn't make this up from Newsweek. Quote, schools in Burbank will no longer be able to teach a handful of classic novels, including Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird, following concerns raised by parents over racism. To Kill a Mockingbird is a book about why racism is bad. I know this because I had to read it in 8th grade, in my sophomore and junior English classes in high school, and once in college. I basically read the book every other year. I know what it says, and it doesn't say racism is good. Anyone who's read the book or seen the movie would know this, but that completely missed the jackass parents in the Burbank Unified School District. They decided that, quote, teachers in the area will not be able to include on their curriculum Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird, Mark Twain's The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, John Steinbeck's Of Mice and Men, Theodore Taylor's Decay, and Mildred D. Taylor's Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry. Oh, for fuck's sake. I haven't read the last two, but I have read the first three. They're not pro-racist books. Huck Finn is literally the deconstruction of the concept of slavery and racism. I haven't read Of Mice and Men in a while, so I'm struggling to remember what in the book could even be perceived as being pro-racist. I just don't know what these people's problem is. Nah, that's a lie. I know exactly what the problem is. These niggas is black. Quote, 4 parents, 3 of whom are black, told you so, challenged the classic novels for alleged potential harm to the district's roughly 400 black students. Right. I guess that's why my all-black grammar school had students read To Kill a Mockingbird, Of Mice and Men, and The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. I guess that's also the reason they took us to see slavery exhibits, plays about the South and slavery, and had us watch Roots, and a number of other incredibly traumatizing things when we were 8 years old to educate us about how black people were treated and what we've overcome. Why show the truth when you can just lie and make us feel like victims? Now, the apparent reason for this is that some kids did what some kids do and repeated lines from the books in a mean manner. Quote, Carmenita. Carmenita. Could it be any more ghetto? Carmenita Heligar said that her daughter Destiny Yes, it can. Carmenita Heligar said that her daughter Destiny was approached by a white student in math class using racial taunts including nigger, which he learned from reading Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry while both attended the Davis Star Jordan Middle School. Okay, but what did he actually say? We're not given the context of what happened, only that Destiny claimed that the boy said a mean thing to her. What happened before that? What caused the boy to talk to her? Don't just tell me he said something, I want to know what led to this. It continues, quote, my family used to own your family, and now I want $1 from each of you for the week, another boy is said to have told Destiny. That's bogus as hell, but it's still funny. Apparently the boy read this in class, and it's unclear from the article whether Destiny was whining about the boy reading it, or whether he actually said this to her after the fact. That's just poor journalism. It really should be clear about when this stuff happened. But apparently Destiny was literally traumatized by these books. Just take a step back and listen to yourself, Carmenita. My mother would get chased by white kids if she stepped foot in Bridgeport. My cousin and aunt were harassed when they moved onto Marshfield on the south side in the 70s when it was still predominantly white. Those are real experiences. Your child read a fucking book. Get over it. This reminds me of something that happened when I was in college. One of my fiction writing teachers had us read All the King's Men. I couldn't get through the first 5 pages because the pacing was so slow. The rest of the class, though, didn't read it because the word nigger was on every page. This was a mostly white class in 2001 saying they couldn't read a book because it used language historically accurate to the time period and area of the country. It's set in the South in the 50s. They called black folks niggas back then. If you want to understand why things are the way they are, you have to understand the past. And you're probably going to see and hear things you don't like. That's the point. Back then, things were different. But they've already happened, so they can't hurt you. But if you're caught up in the critical race theory narrative, then facts and reality don't matter. Quote, Nadra Ostrom. You just found all of them, didn't you? Just all the ones with the cookie names. Another black parent who filed a complaint argued that the portrayal of black people is mostly from a white perspective. There's no counter-narrative to this black person dealing with racism and a white person saving him, she said. Ostrom added that the current education given to students assumes that racism is something in the past. Oh fuck, you mean books written at a time when black people's rights were being oppressed were mostly written by white people? No. Obviously, the books would be written by white people for white people because those were the people who needed their minds to be changed. Who better to convince you than someone you're likely to listen to? You keep telling white people to do the work, but then when they do it, you want to ban them. Either you want them to do it or you don't. If you do, then like Stewart said, let them do it. If you don't, then kindly shut the fuck up. It's bad enough you bred. Do us the decency of keeping your mouth shut so we can lessen the amount of stupidity in the world. But at least two organizations, the National Coalition Against Censorship and PEN America, spoke out against this, saying that the book should be taught because they have the content these complaintive Karens can't stand. You need to hear things that make you feel uncomfortable, especially if it comes from the past, because that's the only way you're going to learn not to repeat it. If all these Wakandans had paid attention or actually read the books, maybe they wouldn't be so racist. But what do I know? I'm just some guy.